Hi. Call me Ron. I don't know. Gandhi gun? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I thought I would go over my Tal'Dorei campaign. You can look at it right there. That's the continent. It's super cool. When you get the Tal'Dorei campaign guide, it comes with that little map. I got mine roughly framed and set up because I think it's super cool. The campaign guide is a wonderful book. It's my first ever campaign guide. I usually don't get campaign guides. I think I got a Ravnica guide as a gift one time. I've read like 5 pages of that. Um, this one is very well done. Mostly in the backstory and world lore sections, especially, are really really good. I set my game in Westrun. If you look at the map, Westrun's right about there. Mild spoiler for campaign 1. I don't know what episode. Chroma Conclave arc. Westrun is the location where the party of Vox Machina took down Umbrasil, the black dragon of the order. So I run my game around the same time frame as campaign 2, which is 10-20 years post campaign 1 conclusion. And so Westrun is still in recovery from the damage dealt by Umbrasil taking over that area. So because of that, the local soldiers and law enforcement of the area, the Shields of the Plains, they're called, they have allowed an adventurers guild to open up. So I have mine as Lanolin, he's a quirky little gnome wizard type. Fun little kind of half ridiculous character to pop into when the players need one. We set him up over there as an no longer traveling kind of wizard adventurer type, bringing in a party and some other adventures in there. He's very much gotten set up recently, probably within the last year or two, and so he has a few other adventuring groups that travel in and out, but there's always jobs posted on the board, and that is kind of the thing that I like about this setup. So you're in Westrun, it's very centrally located. There's a lot of great campaign options in there. There's plains nearby, great forest, Gat Shadow's a wonderful mountain to go into. You can have a whole bunch of little side missions there, and I think for a good campaign, you want your main story arc and your central tension, the thing that's going on in the background the whole time, but you also want just random side missions. People sometimes want to go overthrow some bandits that are hassling townsfolk trying to sell their bushels of barley or whatever they're bringing in. That can be a great heroic thing to do, or it can be a great, satisfy the murder hobos a little bit and be like, well, there's a manticore that's hassling, the apple orchards on the south end past town, and you know what? There's also a wizard in town who's looking for special materials like manticore spines to enchant into magical daggers. If you can convince the local weaponsmith to fashion those spikes into daggers, you can bring them in, and maybe the way I run it is you bring in a special material like that, you probably spend some gold and some time getting them fashioned into weapons. I just cut the enchanting time in half, and enchanting time can be a thing. Like, you don't always have 2 weeks or 8 weeks to hang out and wait for a weapon to get made. So cutting that to 1 week or 4 weeks, that can be a big help. So it gives a little reason why your characters would be hoarding weird materials like that. So I guess that's a side tip, but whatever. So we've got the Lanolin Adventurers Guild in there. The party has, I have a little flyer type thing. You would have to make one that whatever works for your game, but it's basically like an open invitation for adventurers to come in. You say, hey, your character has received this, and you can have the bylaws for the Adventurers Guild on it. I do that as a way to kind of shoehorn in my player expectations. And you'll have your own player expectations, but you basically just reword it as an in-game justification kind of thing. The do not steal from other party members is that's a guild law of the guild, and it's also something I don't want your character doing because it's kind of a wang rod move. Um, Shout out to Matt Colville for the term. So it's a good way to just bring characters in together that normally wouldn't be tied together necessarily, uh, and get them adventuring together. Now, you'll eventually want to tie in character backstories to things. I try to do that a lot. You're going to want to make sure you have a good understanding of whatever your central tension is, and make sure that there are missions on the board that do directly relate to that, or make sure you have tie-ins for the random missions you put on there, that whatever in the loot they find, there's a note to whatever cult you've got going brewing in the forest. You can have the adventurers just get stopped by the shields of the plains and say, "Hey, have you heard about this?" And they can have no prior experience to it, or maybe depending on what missions they took, they do know something about that, and then they can decide to tell the authorities about it or not. And either way, they're now aware that there's something more going on related to that thing that they kind of half heard about. So there's a lot of options. And it's D&D, there's infinite options. But that's how I like to set it up. You got an Adventurers Guild, central location, good simple mission to get people going, and then you're going to start tying in backstories, going from there. All right. Oh man, I don't know if I want to go into more detail. Do I go into more detail? Next video is Central Tension. My game, Central Tension.